The aroma of brewing coffee was the first sign of life each morning in Sarah's old Victorian. Sunlight filtered through the lace curtains cast intricate patterns on the worn wooden floors. For 3 years, this house in Mystic, Connecticut, an unexpected inheritance from a great aunt she'd only met once, had been her sanctuary. Sarah, a freelance graphic designer, appreciated its quiet charm, the way the floorboards creaked a friendly greeting, the faint scent of sea air mixed with old wood and forgotten books that clung to every room. She had spent countless hours meticulously restoring its quirks, stripping wallpaper, polishing banisters, convinced she knew every secret the old place held. Her routine was a comfortable rhythm: morning coffee on the porch swing, watching the occasional sailboat glide down the Mystic River, the gentle hum of her computer as she worked on client designs, evenings spent with a paperback by the crackling fireplace. Life in Mystic was peaceful, predictable. Sometimes the only excitement was finding a new obscure antique at a local nautical market, or discovering a forgotten letter tucked away in a dusty attic box, derailing a distant relative's whaling voyage. The house felt like an extension of herself, cozy, a little eccentric, and utterly familiar. Today, though, was a pantry day, a deep clean. The pantry, tucked off the kitchen, was one of the few spaces she hadn't truly tackled. It was a jumble of forgotten canning jars, seldom used appliances, and an assortment of spices past their prime. As she cleared out a shelf, reaching for a cobweb-draped box of ancient flour, her fingers brushed against something odd on the floor. Not the usual dust, but a faint, almost invisible seam in the floorboards. It was so perfectly integrated into the old wood, aged to the same rich patina, it was a wonder she'd never noticed it before. She knelt, intrigued. It wasn't just a crack. It was clearly a trapdoor. Her heart gave a little flutter of surprise. A hidden space? In her house? A thrill, like a child discovering a secret passageway, sparked within her. The house, she realized, still had secrets to tell. She ran her hand along the seam, feeling the subtle indentation, the outline of something deliberately concealed. A tiny, rusted iron ring, almost flush with the wood, confirmed her suspicion. This was more than just an old floorboard. This was an invitation. With a surge of anticipation, Sarah wrestled with the old iron ring. It was stiff, protesting years of disuse, but with a grunt of effort, she finally managed to pull. With a low, drawn-out groan of ancient wood, the trapdoor began to lift. A gust of air, colder and heavier than anything in the house, billowed out. It carried a distinct scent: damp earth, forgotten paper, and something else.
The darkness below was absolute, a void so profound her flashlight beam, when she switched it on, seemed to shrink and dissipate into nothingness. She hesitated, her common sense warring with her innate curiosity. The cold, the smell, the sheer blackness, it all screamed, "Turn back." But the allure of the unknown, of a space hidden within her own familiar home, proved irresistible. This was a mystery, a tangible secret from the house's long history, and she was already too deep into it to retreat. Slowly, carefully, she began to descend the crude stone staircase revealed by the trapdoor. One hand flat against the rough, frigid stone wall, the other holding the trembling beam of her flashlight. The steps were uneven, worn smooth in places, as if countless feet had passed this way before. The earthy scent intensified, now accompanied by a faint, cloying sweetness that made the hair on her arms stand on end. Every creak of the old house above, every shift of her weight echoed unnaturally loud in the profound silence of the descent. After what felt like an eternity, her foot met flat ground. The room was small, circular, and felt impossibly ancient. The walls were rough-hewn stone, devoid of any modern fixtures or signs of life. Her light struggled to pierce the gloom, revealing nothing. No boxes, no forgotten furniture, no hidden treasures, just a single, solitary object in the center of the earthen floor. A wooden chest, bound with heavy, rusted iron bands. It was large, almost coffin-like, yet meticulously crafted, its dark wood smooth despite its age. It looked like something from a forgotten era, both grand and menacing, utterly out of place in this simple, crude room. As she approached, the sweet metallic scent grew stronger, almost suffocating, and the very air around the chest seemed to shimmer, vibrating with an unseen, potent energy. She knelt, her hand hovering over the cold, rough wood. There was no lock, just a simple, almost elegant latch. Her fingers trembled as she unfastened it. The lid of the chest rose with a soft, breathy whisper, like a sigh escaping from a long-held breath. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet-like cloth, was a single object. It was a mirror, not a typical mirror, but a small, ornate hand mirror with a tarnished silver frame twisted into unsettling, organic shapes that seemed to writhe in the dim light. The glass itself was unlike any she had ever seen. It was perfectly smooth, utterly black, reflecting nothing, not even the powerful beam of her flashlight. It seemed to absorb the light, drawing it into its depths like a hungry, watchful eye. As she reached for it, a chilling sensation washed over her, not merely cold, but a profound, unnatural emptiness that seemed to leach the warmth from her very bones. The sweet metallic scent in the room intensified, almost suffocating now. She felt a presence, not external, but internal. A cold tendril coiling within her own mind, whispering thoughts that weren't her own. The words were silent, yet they screamed in her head. A faint, almost imperceptible shimmer began to ripple across the black surface of the mirror. It wasn't reflecting anything, but something was forming within its depths. A vague, indistinct shape, like a shadow moving in thick smoke, twisting and coalescing. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, a cacophony of silent voices pressing in on her, urging her to look deeper, to let it out, to simply be with it. A jolt of pure, unadulterated terror shot through her. This wasn't a discovery, it was an invitation. An ancient, malevolent presence had been waiting, sleeping, trapped, and she, in her innocent curiosity, had just woken it. She slammed the lid of the chest shut with a frantic clang, the sound echoing unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence of the hidden basement. Sarah scrambled back up the stone steps, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. The air behind her felt heavy, charged with a malevolent energy, a palpable weight pushing her forward. She could almost feel the unseen presence reaching for her, a cold breath on the back of her neck, an unseen force attempting to pull her back down into the suffocating darkness. She burst through the trapdoor into the pantry, gasping for air, her body screaming for the safety of light and warmth. She slammed the trapdoor shut, the heavy wood thudding into place with a sickening finality, and then frantically dragged a heavy wooden crate over it, burying it under stacks of canned goods and bags of flour. She stood there, trembling, in the center of her kitchen. The familiar hum of the refrigerator, the distant sounds of church bells from the town square. These sounds, usually unnoticed, were now a frantic reassurance against the ringing silence in her ears. The old Victorian, once her charming sanctuary, now felt like a cage, its walls suddenly too close, its shadows too deep. She looked around at the familiar warmth of her kitchen, the worn floorboards, the antique furniture. Every creak, every shift in the house's old frame now held a sinister undertone.
With a certainty that chilled her to the bone that she hadn't just found a forgotten basement. She had disturbed something ancient, something that had been patiently waiting in the dark for a very long time. The mirror, with its impossibly black surface, was still there, beneath the floorboards, beneath the crate, radiating its silent, hungry emptiness. And Sarah knew, with a sick twist in her stomach, but it wasn't done with her. It was in her house, it was under her feet, and she was utterly, horribly alone.